Hello everybody and welcome to the United Stand. We're live with the Sunday night show. We're going to be talking Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Can he actually win? It seems that when he does well, people don't like it. And when, we'll talk about that. We'll also be talking about Paul Pogba, Donny van der Beek, title charge. David De Gea has been talking about that. Also the developments of Dortmund and how does that compare to the developments of Manchester United on, off the pitch and in the boardroom. Quite interesting with that. But evening all. How are we doing, Kev, Ricky and Beth?
Very well, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you.
Spot on, thank you, Mark.
Good. Okay, so we'll start with Pogba because I don't want to dwell too much on Pogba, but I know you three really haven't had your chance to talk about it. As we know, it's been a very big week for Manchester United out of the Champions League, a draw in the derby, and the Monday start of the week, actually, we had Ramiro Areola's comments. Pogba's not going to sign a new contract. He wants to leave the club, and he's not happy at the club, and he's been misused at the club. Now, I just want to say this. I mean, I've had quite a big say on this, so I don't want to talk for too long. I just want to get your opinions on this because I think, as we know, if you have anything negative to say about Paul Pogba, you're going to get attacked by Pogba FC. They're very loyal, and you almost have to applaud them in a way. But what I was thinking about today is, would not surprise me if Pogba ended up signing a new contract. Things change, and obviously think something's changed this week. United are coming out bloody doing articles on his Instagram post, which wasn't an apology, but sort of was in some people's minds. I like Paul Pogba as a player. I think a good Paul Pogba makes Manchester United better. And I've never really gone in on him and said, get out of the club. I just think the lack of inconsistency and the fact that he doesn't want to be here is probably, it's a conclusion that, maybe they should part their ways. But if Paul Pogba committed his future to Manchester United and there was a 4-year contract there and he wanted to sign it, I would be happy for him to sign it. Would you be happy? I'm going to ask all three of you, but would you, and the live comments, if Paul Pogba was offered a new contract tomorrow and signed it for 4 years, how would that make you feel, Kev?
I'd be happy. There's no doubt in that talent-wise, he's one of the best players in that Manchester United squad. He's shown it recently. But for me, it would just stink of Glazonomics, Manchester United, typical about the way the club is run, that they would safeguard themselves to offer him a 4-year contract to ensure that if he ever moves on, they're going to get a really good fee for him. I don't see it as it's 4 years. He's going to last that 4 years and beat United and, put everything into that 4 years because you just cannot trust Raiola and the way that he carries on. It really is embarrassing. It's turned into a circus and it's annoying because we should be talking about the football side of things. And instead, once again, we're getting dragged down talking about this.
It's interesting actually that you say that because it is like even the security blanket of 4 years isn't a security blanket when you've got that agent who, he's been at the club for 4 years, and I think for 3 of it he's been chirping away anyway. So actually, it doesn't probably give you that security. You're right.
It's Groundhog Day, isn't it? It's just constant, relentless with Pogba. But one thing I will say is the last couple of games, RB Leipzig, he come on. I thought he changed the game. In the derby yesterday, I thought, decent game, had a good game. I'm certainly not going to knock him for that. But again, I think it's just a circus that we don't need at Manchester United at the minute. We have got problems, and it's just another one that's been thrown into the mix this week.
Beth, I did do a very, very quick poll only about 32 minutes ago, and we've had 8,000 people vote. So it's quite a good poll, actually. And I just basically asked that question. If the 3-year contract was there and Pogba wanted to sign it, would people want him to? 47% said no, yes, they would. 53% said no. So you can't go wrong if you say no or yes with this because it does divide. It's not like you will get hate from Pogba FC. Of course you will. We all know that. But there's a lot of people who'll be there going, you know what, she's right. So would you want him to sign a new contract if it was possible? First of all, do you think it is possible, or do you think it's over now? And would you want him to sign one anyway?
I think it's over for one, but there's no disputing his talent, but I wouldn't want him to sign a new contract. I don't get what he's done that deserves a new contract. He started playing a lot better now. Is that because he knows he's leaving and he needs a buyer? I saw how he played the last couple of games, and I think some of the passes he makes and some of the movements he does are exceptional. You can see his talents there, but I hate his agent. His agent, I just want him out of the club. I don't want him to buy another player from his agent. And I think when he's there, it causes disruption in the squad. It's all about Pogba. Like, in the news, it's Pogba this, Pogba that. I just want it to be Manchester United. And I think, you can shake hands and say, we're happy for the time that you've had here, but it's over now. I don't think anything's going to change. And if you did commit, I'd think, why have you not come out and said about your agent earlier? And I thought it was a weak apology anyway yesterday. So no, I wouldn't, just purely based down to his agent and his attitude in a way, because I'm not saying he's got an attitude, because he has always put himself, like, he has always come to training and played for the club. But to do stuff before big games to do stuff like that before a big game, I think it shows a selfish attitude in that respect.
Where do you, Ricky? You've got very strong. I know where you sit on Dan James, and I know where you sit on Matic, and I know where you sit on Martial. I actually, if someone said to me, "What does Ricky think about Paul Pogba?" I'd actually have to think. I don't really recall a strong. I mean, I'm sure you've got one, and maybe it's my ignorance. But where do you sit on it this week? And if that contract offer came up, would you be happy with him signing it, or same as I said to sort of Beth and Kev, is it time to move on now because of the sideshow?
I agree a lot with a lot of what Beth said, and even though it's slightly different, a lot of what Kev said as well. I agree with Beth that he's got talent, and maybe that's how I feel within myself, that maybe you should get rid. It's a step too far what Riola's done, what he's done. Riola must put that out with Pogba's say so, surely. So I agree with that. But what Kevin said is absolutely bang on. He's just. He's a valuable investment, isn't he? And they can't have, if they was to give him that new contract and he was to sign that new contract, look, even as a United fan, and I know people will say, "Oh yeah, but that's for the Glazers." It's not just for the Glazers. If we've got a player that we can get, and I don't know what we'd get for him now, by the way. I don't think we'd get anything like we were thinking of. I think we'd get
45 million apparently.
Right, I wouldn't be surprised at that. But I don't know where that'd go, but there's got to be a chance it'd be there to strengthen the squad. So if he was, that's exactly how I'd look at it. Like Kevin said, if they put a contract in front of him and he signed it, at least it's safeguarding the investment. And I think that, again, as Kevin said, I think that might be the main reason that they'd be doing it.
Yeah,
I want to talk about Solskjaer.
Sorry, Mark. Very quickly.
Yeah.
We're talking about contracts here with Pogba, right? And that is my sort of theory on it. Is that United are trying to safeguard themselves by offering this contract. Why is Jesse Lingard in the news as being offered a new deal at Manchester United?
I've not seen that. Has it?
Yeah, well, it is in the news that apparently they're looking at activating an extra year, on his contract. I mean, when's the last time he played for Manchester United? Again, the club are safeguarding themselves. They did it with Phil Jones. When's the last time he played? Give him a new 4-year contract. United are just doing this purely so that they can get some kind of fee if these players leave. I mean, God forbid it, for who would want them, man? But yeah, they offer them these contracts. It's madness.
I don't think Pogba will even sign it, because I think he knows that no one can afford to buy him. Obviously, Juventus want to buy him, but they can't afford to buy him. So if he signs a new contract, who's going to come in and buy him? I don't think Real Madrid will.
They're talking about getting him on loan.
I know, imagine that. Paul Pogba on loan.
I mean, interested about Phil Jones. Somebody said on one of the shows in the week, why don't we just terminate his contract and get rid of him? And I said, you do realise he's on about 100 grand a week, which is about 400 grand a month, which is about 4 million a year. And he's got 4 years left on it. So we'd have to give him 16 million to terminate his contract. That's not his fault. I'm not blaming you, Phil. That is Man United. I don't know how he got a 5-year contract. But I want to move on to Solskjaer. I'll start with you on this one, Ricky. So obviously, Solskjaer decided to pick him in the derby yesterday. I feel that the wider thing I want to talk about is a lot of things about Solskjaer. I want to talk about his, he spoke yesterday and said that's his best performance against City. Obviously, a lot of people not very happy with yesterday. It almost feels like he can't win at the moment, even though we're actually not in a bad position. But do you, just to close the Pogba door off a moment, do you think that the way he handled the Pogba situation was correct? He dropped him for Tuesday, brought him on. He starts him in the Manchester derby. Obviously, that meant that Van der Beek didn't even get on the pitch. Are you confused like some fans are as to what Solskjaer's leadership qualities are at the moment, or do you think he's handled that well?
What none of us really know is how much pressure he might be under. Like we've spoken about the monetary value of Pogba, and whether we can't just discard him. his monetary value is going to plummet if we discard him and don't give him a new contract and don't ever pick him in the team. He's not going to be worth $1, is he? Do you know what I mean? So he might be under that pressure, but the way he's used him, if I'm honest, I think he's used him perfectly. I really do. But he couldn't really pick him in the Leipzig game, and yet he came on and made a difference. It's funny how things can go for you, by the way. He did make a difference. And people, look, if you're Pogba FC, you might think I'm having a little bit of a go here. I'm honestly not. I am honestly not. The long ball that he played for Greenwood, it was a great ball, but Greenwood did great to rob the centre-back of the ball and get into the box. And, 9 times out of 10, nothing had come from that ball. But when it does go for you, people go, wow, what a fantastic ball. Do you know what I mean? But it was Greenwood who did all the work. He muscled the centre-back out of the way, got himself into the box and won a pen. So he did make a difference. But on another day, if Greenwood doesn't win that ball back, it's never going to happen for us. If Greenwood didn't win that ball back, it probably still would have finished 3-0. Do you know what I mean? It changes the game, doesn't it? Puts them under the better pressure. So he did come on. He did change the game. And then to use him in the role that he used him, against City, I think Pogba did well there. I think you can clearly see that he's been told that he's got to do his defensive role. He's got to keep it simple, and I think Ollie deserves a bit of credit for that. Pogba wouldn't be my choice to play wide left, but I can't criticise him for actually how he played yesterday. I thought he did quite well.
Beth, I mean, just to move it on a bit, Solskjaer yesterday, Manchester Derby, 0-0. Were you happy with the way he played the game? He did come out afterwards and say that's my best performance against Manchester City in my time there. I could think of 3 in the last year that were better. I mean, we actually beat them. What do you think that's all about? Do you think he's showing showing strong leadership? And even Gary Neville yesterday, who is, if there was a scarf with Ollie in on it, I think Gary would be stood there going like that. He said after the game yesterday, Mourinho was doing that a couple of years ago and we were slating him. That's not good enough. A lot of United fans were saying that, but obviously the results have gone our way today and everyone's a bit more positive. How are you feeling today, 24 hours after?
In the sense of, if we would have lost yesterday and City would have won and then these results would have happened, you would be more gutted, do you know what I mean, than going for it and winning the game. I feel like it puts us in good stead, that draw, and I feel like he did want the draw in the end. I feel like up till the 60th minute, he played it quite well. We were very solid at the back, the way we probably should have played against Leipzig and teams that are similar to City in that sense. Everyone knew the positions, everyone knew the shape. I thought worked so much better with a more compact midfield. But I would have made subs earlier and possibly tried to go a little bit more attacking at the end. But I understand why he didn't, and he kept with Fred to keep up the defensive shape and make sure that we stayed defensive and didn't let City in, because it could have gone one way. We could have nicked a goal, but in the same sense, City could have nicked a goal. And in that sense, the fact that I feel like City are a very good side that are capable of beating anyone on the day, I'm pretty happy to get the draw out of it and keep our league position. But at the same time, I do think our forwards could have done better. Like in the final third, I thought we were very sloppy, made silly decisions when we did get in on goal. So in that sense, it was kind of not a perfect performance, but a very good performance, because if we would have made a few better choices around the penalty box, then we could have even won it from the way he set up. So a lot better and a lot less naive than he has been in recent games. So hopefully he's starting to learn. But I don't know. We say this and then he goes and loses a silly game again. So we'll have to see.
Kev, where are you with this? We're out of the Champions League, which 5 years ago happened without Van Gaal. Well, Wolfsburg out in the group stage. Goes into a game against Man City and, definitely tried not to lose it. I mean, he speaks about controlling the game. I don't call controlling a game passing the ball around amongst your back four for, I think Man City let us do that. I watched Spurs' first 25 minutes today. They were controlling the game from the edge of the box of Palace until they scored the goal. How are you feeling after the week in general? A very disappointing result in Leipzig, a draw against Man City. Results have gone our way. Beat Sheffield United, beat Leeds. You could be touching top place for Christmas. But is Ollie still the right man long term for you?
You look at the league position at the minute, definitely happy with it. We keep talking about this game in hand. It's not a given that we'll actually win it. We've still got to do the business and win that. Yesterday, I was nervy going into that game. And I think some of the comments that Solskjaer made after the game, like you just touched on before, saying that, it's his best performance over City. I cannot agree with that. Sorry. United have played better than that against City, against better Manchester City teams as well. I didn't think City were up to much yesterday. Somebody said, a few people saying that they showed us respect and that. I just did not see that. This is not a great Manchester City team. They're missing Aguero. The players have gone, great players, David Silva, company. That was a really, really good Manchester City team. So for me, I'd really thought they were there for the taking yesterday. And I see it as a big opportunity missed. I really do. We're at Old Trafford. Yes, there's all fans inside the ground. We should have gone for that yesterday. And I know the game plan seems to be against Man City, is hanging that game. And then last sort of half an hour, we start to experiment a bit more, try and create a few chances. But it depends where you sit, doesn't it? If you're a glass half full, half empty kind of person, we can look back now after the weekend results and go, do you know what? Wasn't that bad of a result? Man City at home, at the end of the season, we'll see where it stands. But I was just slightly disappointed that we didn't go for it yesterday.
I mean, I agree. I think that the result in the grand scheme of things is probably not a bad result. I do stand by what I said yesterday, that it was a bit cowardly. I think we played too many sideways passes in the back six. We didn't, Pogba and Bruno, I thought, did quite well with what they got. I thought Rashford and Greenwood got even less. And I think that's because we didn't move the ball quick. But I do agree with what you said, Kev. I don't think City were that good. I don't think we had to work that hard to keep De Bruyne quiet or Jesus quiet. I mean, the fact that Harry Maguire and Lindelof had pretty good games, our man of the match was left back. I think we coped quite well. And I think his lack of substitution showed a fear. He moans about the amount of games we've got. He had 2 subs he never even bloody used. And I know his excuse after the game was, sometimes you need to make subs to rest players, but I didn't feel the need that the players were okay. They didn't look like they needed a rest. I thought that was, again, some of what he said after the game was almost, I don't know, is he out of his depth? Is he panicking? Is he under pressure? Probably. But then again, if he goes and beats Sheffield United and Leeds, it does send a strong message. Just in the context of the result yesterday and where we're going the rest of the season, do you feel that, and it is the title of the show, so I need to touch on this with everybody. Do you feel that he's almost in a position where, I'll ask you this, Kev, where he almost can't win now? The stage has almost been set with some fans. I saw Ollie Out was trending yesterday. You've just drawn a Manchester derby. You're very much still in a race for top 4 in a title. And yet Ollie Out's trending and people are saying, get Ollie out the club and this, that and the other. That I still always hark back to that Manchester Evening News article about the Pochettino talks. I've seen this with Mourinho. It took 7 months, but it started after the Sevilla game and it never left him until the results went bad and then he was gone. We saw it with Van Gaal as well. It started around the Christmas and he was gone in May. Do you think that Solskjaer is almost in a position now where he's not going to win back a large proportion of his detractors anyway? Or do you think actually, he still could do?
Fans are very fickle sometimes. That's why I keep looking back. I think the run that Manchester United went on that got Solskjaer the job, and I can't think of anybody at that time that was probably thinking, don't give him the job. Now, you touched on it the other week and said, and you're absolutely right, United said that they would always review it at the end of the season. And they got giddy just like we did as fans and give Solskjaer the job. If they'd have waited until the end of the season, we had a dip in form, they would not have given him the job. And I think it is set up for him to fail now. I don't see Pochettino, as long as he's waiting there will always be this debate. And fans will take to social media with every single result with this Ollie Out bollocks and all that. Wherever you sit, it's entirely up to you. It's your opinion, whatever you want to say. But it builds, doesn't it? And it's momentum, voice, it's opinion. But at the same time, is Solskjaer doing himself any favours with the way that he's going on? This stuff with Pogba, he's not good enough. He drops him against RB Leipzig and he's making his big point. I'm not going to play him. His agents come out. But then, we're 2-0 down at half time. I'm going to have to call on him now and bring him into the match. Mixed messages. I don't understand it at all. he's good enough then to start against West Ham the game before, and he's good enough to start in a Manchester derby, but for tactical reasons, he was never going to start against RB Leipzig. I don't know. There's something about this Manchester United job recently. It happened to Moyes, Van Gaal, and even Mourinho, where these managers just start coming out with mind-boggling stuff where they just don't make any sense. And I think Solskjaer was like that yesterday. I don't know what he's trying to cover up by saying that's his best ever, kind of performance against Man City. There's a few things he says where you scratch your head and you think, something about this job that just, grinds you down.
I'll come to you next, Beth, but I just wanted to ask Ricky, just while I remember. It was the game against PSG. I think you were really angry with how Ollie set up. We've had another week and a half since then. He's changed this team 3 times, as he always does, the formation, players in different positions. We had the Pogba incident. We've had the comments after the match yesterday. I said to Kev there, is he almost set up to fail now? There are people out after him, even when we're drawing games now. I'm sure if we beat Sheffield United 4-0 at the weekend, there'll be people still trending Ollie out for some reason. Is that fair? Do you think he can turn it around, or do you think he's feeding that sort of movement with his mixed messages that he sends out there and his constant changing of the team, which I know is a frustration for yourself?
Yeah, he's definitely feeding the Ollie out as with the way he changes the team so much, and obviously the results are so inconsistent. I'm one of the biggest ones for saying that yesterday was a decent result. I was happy with the result yesterday. I was happy with the way he set up. You've got to understand that losing to City, they leapfrog us. You might never catch them. You might not catch them again all season if they leapfrog you. You know what I mean? Now they've got a couple of games to play now while we're playing Sheffield United and Leeds. I've not looked at who they've got, but we might stretch our lead over City in the next 2 games. You never know. So I wasn't despondent with that, but the way Ollie is changing his team regularly, I don't like it. You're not going to get consistency. I believe. I've just seen a thing go through there about why you're talking about us being in a title race. It's not like there's only 3 or 4 games gone. There's 11 games gone, or 11 games for us. There's 12 gone for some. And I think I'm right in saying that because of the results since we played City, we're still in the same situation, aren't we? That if we win our game in hand, we're 2 points behind the leaders. You've got to count yourself in a title race. How long that can stay, I don't know. It might only stay another. If you draw 2 of your next 3 games and win the other even, you'll be out of the title race. But at the minute, you're in it. You've got to say you're in it. And I don't think he will stay in it if he doesn't get a consistent team out there and a consistent formation out there. He's just going to keep having inconsistent results. I don't know what he's going to pick. I know that you might want to speak about this at the end of the show, so I'll leave it there. But he'll probably pick a completely different team against Sheffield United. And as I always say to you, I'm not sure how we'll go on because I don't know what he's going to pick. You know what I mean?
We are going to talk about that a little bit later. If if the team he picked yesterday is the team he's going to move forward with, how would you construct that midfield 4 in the front 2? Because I think that's the 2 positions that 2 areas of the pitch that are the most confusing. Which is what I was going to ask you about, Beth. One of the big things is that Solskjaer is really probably not winning. Losing a lot of the loyal Ollie inners on is Van der Beek. I said this morning. The politics of the Manchester United fan base is actually quite easy. I said this to Kev a few weeks ago. There's a lot of fans who go to Old Trafford who are not big fans of Pogba, and there's a lot of fans on social media who are big fans of Pogba. I'm not saying that's wrong; it's a fact. And the way that Ollie's dealt with the Pogba thing will not please some of the people who don't rate Pogba, but then. A lot of the Pogba FC fans don't rate Ollie and they're Ollie out, but he's pleased them. He's not done enough to bring them back to being Ollie in, and he's also pissing off the Ollie in people with how he's dealt with the Pogba thing. Politically, it's a weird one. I think Van der Beek almost transcends both of those. I think most Pogba FC like Van der Beek and most Ollie in people like Van der Beek. Yesterday, Fred nearly went off and Matic was coming on. Now, that probably pleases Ricky, although he's a Van der Beek fan. But what isn't in doubt is we're back in this situation, and we've mentioned it a few times over the last week. It's very easy to say that Van der Beek is now our 6th choice midfielder because 4 started yesterday and Matic was going to come on for Fred. What's your take on Solskjaer's management of Van der Beek, and what Well, I suppose, to be blunt, what is the point in having it? I mean, what in your head? What do you think? Because I'm massively confused. I've got no idea.
I'm really, really confused about the whole Van der Beek thing, because when Van der Beek first joined, he said the reason he joined was because of Solskjaer. But then once he's come, I don't think he's been given a fair opportunity. I thought he was starting to get an opportunity, but now Pogba's back and McTominay's back. He's pushed right out of the side. And what does confuse me even more and makes me question Solskjaer even more is I don't think he realises that he can also defend. He's quite a defensive. It's weird. He's a defensive attacking midfielder in that sense. Like, he holds his position very well. He holds possession well, and he holds his shape well. I think he's more talented and has more potential than a lot of players that he's picking over him. I mean, Pogba's obviously a great talent. There's no denying that. But is there any future in him? Probably not, because he's gonna leave. So Van der Beek is the future, and he's not getting a fair chance. And I think it's very unfair to drop him after he's had nothing but great games. People were calling him man of the match for some of the games that he was playing. I thought he was playing really well. So the only thing I can think of is he's not an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer signing. But I don't get what he said after the City match. He said he didn't feel like he needed to make substitutions. I thought it was clear that a lot of our legs had gone. I thought the midfield legs were tiring, and I think Van der Beek could have easily replaced either Fred or McTominay and done a solid job, and if not even helped us to even win the game. So the thing is, when you're United manager, you're always going to have a lot of pressure on you because they're such a big club and you can never please everyone. But a few things that don't work in Ole's favour is his poor substitutions, his favouritism of players, and the fact he's not got a track record. He's not got titles. He's just starting off really in his managerial career, managing a big club and trying to win trophies really. So he's not got anything to back himself up. So I don't think he does himself any favours by substitutions and team selection. But as long as you're 2 points off top of the league, I don't think you can criticise him in a way, even though a lot of the performance do need criticising. It's a really weird league this year.
I just made me realise. I just want to do a quick question of all three of you. What's the future for Solskjaer? Is he going to win us the league? Will he be the manager next year? Starting off with you, Kev.
Can he win us the league? You'd have to wait until the end of the season. I keep saying give him at least until the end of the season and see where we're at. What was the second question? Sorry.
Do you think he's going to be our manager next season, a year from now?
Do you know what? No, I don't think he will.
Ricky, is Solskjaer a good enough coach to win us the league, as you've seen over the last 2 years? And will he be our manager in a year's time?
As I've just said, I think he's chopping and changing the team too much. He won't even settle on the same formation for games, which I'd love him to settle on the same formation. We just played it was a 4-4-2 really against City, with Greenwood on one flank and Pogba on the other. Well, that was a more defensive style. But against Sheffield United, I'd like to see us play 4-4-2. But with attacking wide players rather than defensive wide players. I know Greenwood's not a defensive player, but he played that role yesterday, and I thought he did well at it, by the way. You could clearly see the shape that he'd worked on. Greenwood was playing wide right of a four-man midfield, and he was playing it defensively. I thought he did great. I wonder what he was actually told to do. I mean, loads of people will say, "Oh, he has great shots." I think an Arsenal player's just got a red card.
Xhaka.
So where was I with that? Yeah, I don't think he's going to settle on a steady formation. And if I had to have a guess at it, I would say no. I would say he won't win the league, and I would say he would also. When I say he won't win the league, I can't. Let's be honest. I'd love to think we could win the league this year, and Liverpool are struggling with injuries badly. But I think it'd be my heart ruling my head if I was to say we could win it.
Yeah.
And same question to you, Beth. Do you think he is going to be the manager to win the title for Manchester United? And do you think he'll be here in a year? Just very quickly.
Obviously, I want to say yeah, but his decisions in big games sometimes are very, very questionable. I think he's a bit too inexperienced to maybe win us a title. Again, I'd love to say yeah, but I don't see us winning the title really. I'd love us to, but I think he'll be here next year. I do. I think as long as we get top four, I think that's the expectation for him this year, especially with what he's had and everything that's been going on. I think as long as we get top four, he'll be in charge, and I think we are going to get top four this year, especially if we make some concrete signings in January. But obviously, I don't know if the board are competent enough to do that. But it depends. But I think he'll be in next year.
I agree. I think if we get to top four, he will be the manager next year. And I think if he's going to win the league, this is his best year of doing it because the league's all over the place. But do I think he's going to... No, I don't think he'll be here in a year's time. And I don't think he will win as a title. But stranger things have happened. It's a really weird season. Having said that, we haven't played Liverpool yet once. And every decent team we've played at home. So we've got to go away a lot, which actually we're quite good at. So who knows? But yeah, I think there's a comment there from De Gea, 10 United fan, 30 years. I agree with Kev. I've said it myself after the show yesterday. There's not enough to sack him at the moment. I understand why people want to, and I'm not saying you're not going to be proved right, but I would try and give him till May because I think it makes a new manager's job easier to come in the summer. I think it'd be a bloody nightmare to take United over at the moment with all the issues around Pogba and dealing with that. I think Ollie needs to resolve those. I haven't asked you and Ricky actually, Kev. Van der Beek, what's your feeling on what's going on there at the moment? Is that another confusing issue, or do you think there is clarity there?
Just cannot understand it. I mean, we're going back well over a month. We were all having this same debate at the time and could not understand what has happened. You know what I mean? What's Van der Beek done? Has he killed Solskjaer's cat or something, or is it something deep?
Over, yeah.
I honestly don't know what he has to do.
He put sugar in his tea, apparently.
Yeah. But he has that game against RB Leipzig, Old Trafford. He absolutely dominated that match. One-touch football, like Paul Scholes in his prime, the old, left and right look. Before he was even receiving the ball, he knew where it was going. And then all of a sudden, he gets he's not even getting a cameo. He gets told to go and warm up, and that's it. Just sit back in the stands. I'd love to see him in that team, but it baffles me because we've all said, what's the point in buying him? If you're going to sit him on the bench, it's pure torture for the lad. I actually feel sorry for him when I see him sat in the crowd. I'm like, he looks like he's going to break down in tears, the poor lad. He must be thinking, what have I got to do to get in this team? There's players getting in ahead of him that shouldn't really be ahead of him. Give him a chance, for Christ's sake.
Well, I'll give it you in a different way, Ricky, because I do want to talk about, presuming he's going to go with a diamond from now on with this 4-4-2 sort of thing. How would you, well, you don't have to go with that, but how would you construct the midfield? And what's your feelings about the absence of Van der Beek? Do you think it's right that he's now effectively outside the top four choices for McTominay, Pogba, Bruno and Fred? And do you think Ollie, some people feel that Ollie's got a long-term plan with him. And that's why he's not playing in the short term.
I don't agree with that argument. If he's got a long-term plan for him, you need to start seeing it come to fruition. It's not like the kid's 18 or something. You know what I mean? He's in his early 20s, isn't he? He needs to be playing first-team football. And if you think you can build a team that he's going to be an important part of, he needs to start getting soon. So I can't imagine that being the case.
Greenwood's starting games at 18, isn't he? So it's not. Yeah.
You can't say, here's a player who's going to be a great player. Like I say, unless he was dead young, you can't say here's a player who's going to be great for us. He's going to play every week next year, but he's not playing this year. I don't agree with that argument. I was pleased to hear Kevin say, because I know you don't necessarily agree, Mark, but I'm adamant that his best position is number 10. And Kevin just said how brilliant he was against Leipzig, and he played number 10 against Leipzig. You know what I mean? Bruno got rested that day, and Van der Beek played. Also, I think Beth mentioned the substitute. Was it Beth or was it you, Mark? Mentioned the subs getting warmed up when Fred looked like he might have to come off yesterday, and it was Matic who was getting ready. Look, McTominay and Fred are proper defensive players, and so is Matic, and Van der Beek isn't. So when that Fred looked like he might have to go off, it was obvious to me that it had to be Matic coming on. I know he didn't have to come on in the end, but it just had to be a like-for-like swap. And the like-for-like swap for Van der Beek is Bruno. And he can play deeper. I get that, Beth. He can play deeper. He won't let you down. But just in a big game like that, when you're playing... Well, I believe... You know my thoughts on this. Tommy, Matic, Fred. Two of those three players, I don't care who we're playing. Two of them have got to play. It gives us our base from which we can spring attacks. You know, we don't want two of those players running up the field, or one of them even, and leaving us with only one in midfield. To me,
does that not? Sorry to interrupt, Ricky. Does that not feed into why Ollie out was trending last night though? Because everyone's saying, yeah, all right, McTominay and Fred played okay, well, whatever you want to describe it as, but we just, and Scholes has said this a few times, they did a good job defensively, but there's not enough creativity. And the problem with United is if they play with one CDM, they're letting too many goals in. But when they play with two CDMs, they're not creating any chances. And this is the big issue that Solskjaer's got.
I don't know about playing with not creating enough chances. I mean, we play generally with McTominay and Fred all the time. You know, if you break the games down, if you bear in mind that you never score all your chances, look at our recent games. We've scored 3 at Southampton. We've scored 3 against Everton. We've scored 3 against West Ham. We've probably had 6 chances in all them games. We are creating chances. Now, you might not create loads of chances against the big teams. You know what I mean? But that's not going to happen anyway. It's not going to happen anyway. So, you know, you're banging your head against the wall. Like, people who think that it was poor yesterday to start like that, we could easily have nicked that. If we'd have nicked it with a late goal, which we could have done so easily, and that's the idea of setting yourself up like that. I wish you would have set up like that, as I've said earlier. I wish you would have set up like that against Spurs at Old Trafford. Against Spurs at Old Trafford, he had Marshall, Greenwood, Rashford and Bruno all in the team. He won't sack him for that. He won't sack him for that. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace, honestly. It's like a 13-year-old boy playing FIFA.
They're pretty good, you know. Them 13-year-old boys, they're pretty good at FIFA. They've smashed me a few times. But you know, I think it's interesting what you're saying because for me, and I know Beth since wanted to get in, so I'll let her go. But for me, I just think I do agree with Scholes. I think we've got a real issue. I think when we play the 2 CDMs, we're not very pleasing on the eye, and when we play 1 CDM. We are, but then we can't defend. And I think a lot of it comes down to the centre-backs. But, yeah, I like Fred. I think we miss Fred a lot against Leipzig because of his energy. I'm not massive about McTominay, to be honest. I just think they're both just not creative enough from deep. You're playing 2 players. One of those players for me has got to be a ball-playing player. You know, you think about the players we've had in the past. Scholes has played that role. Michael Carrick was brilliant at it. Neither of those 2 players can break the passing lanes. And then you get Pogba living off scraps like he did yesterday, and Bruno living off scraps, and Rashford and Greenwood living off scraps. I get why he plays McFred, but I don't like it. Even Matic is better. He can hit a 50-yard pass or a 30-yard pass from deep. I just think McTominay and Fred don't offer enough in that sense. I don't know what you wanted to say, Beth.
I was going to say, I understand in a game like yesterday why he played McFred. Like, I completely understand that. I think Fred's getting better at his ball distribution and his attacking play. I think he just keeps improving. So I'm happy with Fred, and I think he influences our play a lot. But with the McTominay sense, I think if we're playing against Sheffield United or, you know, a team that's outside of the Big Six, I think you've got to play Van der Beek there instead of McTominay, because for me, I don't see that much difference in defensive work. I think Van der Beek puts a very good tackle in. I don't see McTominay, he was yesterday, but in recent games, he's not been putting he gets skipped past a lot and doesn't put as many tackles in as I would like my CDM to. But yesterday, he was a lot better, I thought. But then obviously with Van der Beek, you get that creativity as well. And you've seen him playing the CDM role before, well, in the double pivot role. And he gets forward, but he's quite solid defensively. So I think against a less intense opposition, I think you've got to give him a chance there because, as you say, we don't break teams down enough and get forward enough. And he could really unlock that door for us. And I think it's not much of a difference, especially if you're against teams that you can afford to have a tiny little bit less defensive shape against.
Yeah. Pardon?
Can I just come in there?
Yeah.
I mean, she spoke about Van der Beek being able to make a tackle, and she spoke about McTominay not making enough tackles. I believe if your team shape's right and your 2 holding midfield players are in the correct position all the time, I'd be quite happy for them not to make a single tackle all the way through the game. It's about being in position, and it's about not letting them play through you, and it's about when you push forward, staying together, and just the shape of the team being right. Now, obviously, look, they're not going to not go through a game without making a tackle. I appreciate that and being a bit tongue in cheek with that. But it's more about being there and not, you know, if you've got McTominay with Van der Beek, you're occasionally going to find that Van der Beek's up the field when they break. If you've got Bruno playing in that position, you're going to find that Bruno's up the field when they break. If you've got two players in there, you make them try and pass round, you make them turn back and pass to the full-backs. It's just about being there. It is possible to go through a game without even making a tackle. It's not all about being able to make tackles.
But then again, PSG and Leipzig, because it's not just down to McTominay and whoever else was in the pivot, like Matic or Fred, because the team shape is the midfield to attack is a massive gap. You often see them, for example, McTominay, just getting skipped past very easily, and then he's out of position and he can't get back in time. So then I think, what's the point of having him there when you could have someone, they might get skipped past a few times, but he can play a very good pass and play great one-touch football.
You just mentioned the Leipzig game, Beth. Against Leipzig, it was an embarrassment. We played with a back five.
Back seven.
Well, in which the two full-backs are supposed to come forward to help out in midfield, which they will do when they can. But Leipzig got a good team, so whenever I look at when people say a back three, some teams, the wing backs are normally sometimes wingers, but our wing backs are full backs, so they're natural full backs. So we're playing with 5 defenders and we're playing with 2 just in front, right? Now then we had Bruno as a number 10, and if you watch the game back, he's often the furthest forward than anybody. So Bruno's getting in between the 2 strikers, which is Greenwood and Rashford. We're playing with 2 in midfield.
It was a shot.
I don't care if those 2 midfield players would have been Thomas Partey and N'Golo Kante. I don't care. We would have got overrun. All the commentators were saying, Glenn Hoddle was saying on the telly, they're getting overrun in midfield. There's just not enough people there. Bring that forward to this game against City. One lad said to me on Twitter, we're better now in midfield because Fred's there. We were better in midfield because Fred was there. We were better in midfield because we had 4 players in midfield instead of 2. It's as simple as that.
I agree with that. That's
yes, get in, Burnley. 1-0.
You're in
Brownhill, which is very apt. What a great name, Brownhill. No, it wasn't him who scored, actually. Brownhill because Arsenal are shit, but it looks, I don't know who scored. It's a flick on the front post. They're down to 10 men, Arsenal, and Arteta out's trending.
Get that trending instead.
Let's watch this back. Hold on, I'll tell you who scored. It's corner at the front post. I don't know whether it is. Is it going off Aubameyang's head?
I'm amazed, mate. You must be a minute.
Yes, it's Aubameyang. 350k and he scored. Aubameyang's best goal. But no, what I was going to say is in relation to Van der Beek. He played against Southampton with Fred, and somebody said it in the live comments. Spot on. He was telling Fred what to do. Van der Beek is a product of the Ajax system where you are positionally sound and you close the ball down and you're good on the ball. I think Van der Beek is a better CDM than McTominay will ever be. I think he can be better than Fred. I think that's where he should be playing in this team. And I think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer hasn't even got the knowledge to understand the player that he's bought. And it's a real shame because Van der Beek against Southampton was absolutely superb in the deep lying role next to Fred and was telling Fred what to do. I remember that game very, very distinctly. I said after that game, Van der Beek and Bruno have got to be 2 of your first name players on the pitch, because one thing I wasn't aware about Van der Beek, Kev, was the fact that he actually is very vocal and he's a leader as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing I've liked from what I've seen of him. And again, I cannot get my head around why he's not getting that game time at Manchester United. I understand there's loads of games. He'll want to mix it up. He wants to give players a try. But again, it's just he's changing his team so much. We've almost, what is our identity? There's teams in this Premier League that play better football than us. And you can look at them teams, what style of play they're going to play, what they're going to do. Us, we're just very unpredictable. We've turned that many corners. We're running around in circles. And if he can just nail down his strongest 11, give it 3, 4, 5 games. Go into that, try and get a game, a run of games, wins. Who knows what could happen this season? But it's still a head scratcher for me for Van der Beek.
He so rarely gives the ball away as well. He never, ever, rarely, ever gives the ball away. And the commentators in Southampton game were giving him so much praise, saying he could be our next great ball playing CDM in that role. And to see him play that well and then just kind of get shoved onto the bench, I don't think it was great management at all. And I think he has to play midweek.
Can I come in here? Against Southampton, even though he might have been speaking to Fred a lot, and I thought this was the case, I've just checked it. Fred and Matic played, so he's not playing CDM in that game. I don't care what anyone says. Fred and Matic played. I don't know what format we played, but those are the two defensive-minded midfielders. Not Van der Beek. Obviously, he gets back, and I remember him making a couple of tackles, and probably Beth remembers those tackles. Talking about him obviously he gets back behind the ball. All the players are supposed to get back behind the ball. But against Southampton, Fred and Matic both played. So when they both play, you can afford the other midfield player to get forward. When one of them's playing, it's different.
Would you play him in the double pivot if we got a, say, prime Matic type player to go next to him, Ricky?
Probably not. He's an attacking player. He likes to get around the edge of the box and get into the box. And, Scholes, we used to play 4-4-2 with Keane and Scholes, but he's not Paul Scholes, is he? Do you know what I mean? I don't think so, no. I don't think so. I mean, look, he could do a decent job. Sometimes you win and sometimes, you win some games and he'll play well in games. But if you want to try and be title contenders like we want to be title contenders, I don't think you'll get away with it often enough if you've only got one player who's sticking in the central midfield. I think you need two. That's my opinion.
Let's move it on because there is. I want to talk about the. Well, I just wanted to get a theory on this. Actually, I mean, a big week talking about David De Gea maybe being dropped. I even heard something today. I'll bring this in first. I even heard something today from a few people that David De Gea needs to be dropped because it's his fault the centre backs aren't performing because he's not telling them what to do. I mean, I've heard some excuses for Maguire and Lindelof, but I think that one pretty much takes the biscuit. I mean, David De Gea is an insecure, unconfident goalkeeper who isn't vocal, is about the best load of bollocks I've ever heard. I mean, this goalkeeper's won a title at this club and he kept us relevant for 5 years. But David De Gea has come out and said, Kev, that United are focused on winning. We're in a Premier League title race, which I think is what Ricky was saying a few minutes ago. And that's what they're focused on doing. We have got Sheffield United and we have got Leeds before Christmas. We've also got a Carabao Cup game against Everton. They're both very winnable games. I think that Leeds game is going to be really interesting. I don't know what we've got over Christmas. I know we've got Leicester Boxing Day. There is a possibility that if we beat Leeds and Sheffield United, we'll have actually won 6 of our last 7 Premier League games and drawn against Man City. There's a real opportunity for those players, and obviously Pogba's now back in the equation. What are you thinking about the next few games, and how realistic do you think it is that we can, go on a run now? Do you think the platform's there, or do you think that we are going to see inconsistency? And also, I know it's a 3-pronged attack here. How would you be lining up against Sheffield United, and would you be looking for him to, stick with that now we've got through the more traditional, harder games?
I think he will definitely change it up. And again, it's just whether he makes the right decisions that day to get the result. I mean, as long as we get the 3 points, anything other than 3 points. And again, we're all going to be here talking about team selection and what he chose to do wrong. Again, I said before, I just want him to start picking a team now and running with it. We've crashed out the Champions League. Unfortunately, we've now got Thursday nights to look forward to in the Europa League. I wouldn't even entertain that at the minute. They're the kind of games that I'd be sending the likes of, Lingard, Phil Jones out into and just seeing what happens in that. I would go all out this season for the Premier League because I think it's that unpredictable. It's just crazy to think that if we win that game in hand, how close we are up to the top. And teams are just dropping points every single week that you would not have seen Liverpool dropping points today against Fulham. It just shows how crazy the season has been. So, yeah, just want to see us really a run of games with a starting 11 that can get to at least know each other. I'll just say on De Gea then what he said about him. I do agree that he's probably not the most vocal of keepers. I think against Leipzig, a lot of people have looked and said that he should have come out and that third goal that was schoolboy defending. Maguire left it for De Gea. De Gea really should have come out and just took the lot for that one. But I do really like Dean Henderson. I'm not pushing for him to overtake De Gea. I think it's great competition for him, but Dean Henderson is very vocal as a keeper. I don't know whether it's because he's an English keeper or what. Maybe his communication's a bit better. But from what I've seen of him so far this season, I've been very impressed.
There you go. I didn't ask you, I mean, in relation to the midfield, well, no, let's just, I think the best way to do this is we'll go around all three. How would you line up against Sheffield United? And like Kev, would you want us to be playing? Do you want to see some consistency in the selection now? So effectively, what do you think should our team be? We haven't really got any injuries. I think Cavani will be back for that game.
Oh, is this to me?
Yeah.
Right, I'd play the same shape that we kind of played against, was it the diamond midfield that we played?
Against City?
Yeah. The same shape against that. I'd play the four at the back, I'd play, but instead of McFred, I'd play Fred and Van der Beek. And then I would play Bruno, obviously, and I wouldn't play Pogba, but I know Ollie probably would want to. I'd play Bruno and then Pogba, and then I'd play Rashford and Marsh. No, actually, I'd give Rashford a rest. I'd play Martial and Greenwood up front. Because I think Rashford looked very tired at the end of that game, and I think Greenwood looks lively. I think he's close to scoring. He looks like he's very close to going on a good goal scoring run. And I think that shape works really well for us. Everyone seems to know the jobs very well. And because Sheffield United don't have much of a goal threat, I feel like it's an opportunity for Van der Beek to come in and show what he can do from that role. So that's how I play it.
Ricky, how would you be looking to go through these next few games, starting with Sheffield United?
Well, as I've just said, I'd like you to start trying to get a regular starting 11 together and, give them the chance to gel together. So if I'm only going to pick from people because there's one or two players that I'd have in the team that are not realistically even got a chance of being in the team. So
one of them be Dan James, the other one be Juan Mata.
I'm not so sure about Dan James, but I won't mind Dan James being in the team. But I'd definitely give Juan Mata a run on the right, and because it does give him some games, there's no doubt about that. He played against Chelsea, played against Newcastle. He's played more recently. He come on as a sub against West Ham, didn't he? He started another game recently.
But I think that's the confusing thing. I mean, look, whatever I think about Mata, there is a confusion there. He was playing him in games where we actually picked up results, and then recently he's dropped him like a fart, hasn't he? He's just let him wander off. He doesn't use him.
He played against Chelsea. We drew 0-0 with Chelsea as well.
It's a long time ago, that now, isn't it, though?
Yeah.
He played against Everton, which we won, which is more recent.
It's a while back, but at the same time, we've not picked up points against Spurs. We've not picked up points against Arsenal. He played against Chelsea, and we picked up a point. You know what I mean? It might only be a coincidence. I actually don't think it is, because it was about the team shape on that day. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
He was playing on the right, and Dan James played on the left against Chelsea. So it was a short while ago. But those two lads, by the way. Chelsea might not quite be Man City, but on the day that an hard team to play against, aren't they? So we got a point off Chelsea with Juan Mata and Dan James on the flanks. Yesterday we got a point off City with Greenwood and Pogba on the flanks. Do you know what I mean? I don't see what the great deal of difference is, to be honest. But but I don't. If you're asking me what I'd go with on Thursday, I'd go with a team that I'd like him to start picking regular. I actually think he might give Mata a game on Thursday. Sheffield United. It's away, I think, isn't it? But it doesn't matter, really. I think he might give Mata a game. But if he does, going forward, he's not going to be a regular starter, is he? So I'm already going against the grain, really, of what I would like him to do. But going forward and only picking people who have seriously got a chance of being in the team, if you like, because 2 or 3 of the players that I'd pick have not got a serious chance. I'd go with McTominay and Matic in the middle, and I don't mind it being McTominay and Fred. So that's fine. Those two. I would go with Cavani up top, Bruno at number 10. I'd play Martial on the left, and Rashford and Greenwood can share a game on the right. something like that. One of them can start, one of them can come off the bench.
Kev, yeah, I didn't think I asked you. How would you be looking to line up now to get a bit of a consistent run? I mean, obviously we will be changing it because of all the games over Christmas, but he's got to have a best 11, and I don't think anybody knows what it is.
No, my team is actually more or less the same as what Ricky just said, to be honest. I think he mentioned on the right-hand side, Rashford or Greenwood. I think against Sheffield United, I think I would probably give it to Greenwood, purely just based on the fact of Rashford. I mean, in the derby, he seems like his legs, if anything, he probably just needs a bit of a rest at the minute. And you did mention Cavani then, Ricky, up front, didn't you? Yeah. What I was going to touch on with Cavani, I mean, it's almost like we've been playing without a number 9 at this club when he's not playing. So for me, build everything around that man. Because again, RB Leipzig in the Champions League, if we could have had Cavani, you know, in that team, holding that ball up, it just makes so much of a difference to your playing style. You've got somebody big that can hold the ball up, and the team could just move up the pitch. I think we've really been missing that at the minute, so I would definitely start him. Hopefully get a run of goals as well.
I don't know whether anybody saw it. I don't watch a lot of Match of the Day, but I did. I don't know why I was watching Match of the Day last night after a 0-0 derby, but I did have it on, and they, you know, I mean, to be fair, Shearer was a very good striker, so you know sometimes he does talk sense, and he highlighted the fact that although we didn't really have a clear-cut chance yesterday, there was opportunities. I remember when Pogba did that little 1-2 with Bruno, and Bruno was in the box a couple of times, and there's nobody in the box. Rashford or Greenwood are absolutely nowhere near. And Shearer was saying that basically a striker like Cavani, he's in there, he's making that run. And there was a chance in the second half where Greenwood was a bit selfish. He was on the far-hand side, he cut in, he went for a shot. He could have squared it to Rashford on the penalty spot. And Shearer was like, well, maybe he should have done that, but Rashford should have been attacking the 6-yard box anyway, so that mishit shot, he'd be there for a tap-in. And I think I thought that was really good analysis from Shearer on that, because it's not really something that many fans will pick up on, the absence of a run into those dangerous areas, because if they don't make the run, you don't think about it. But it's spot on. I don't know what this crime is from OG the baby saying let's put Bruno on the right wing. I mean, to me that's. I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't do a good job on the right wing, but why you'd want to put the most creative attacking midfielder in Europe on the right wing to move Pogba there? Bollocks. I'm sorry, you know, put him on the left wing. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to move Bruno Fernandes. He's delivering and more. So I wouldn't be moving Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion. That wouldn't make much sense to be. We're building a team around Bruno, says Robert Anderson. Exactly. What else did I want to talk? Something I wanted to ask about. I don't think we'll do that one. I mean, look, I can't remember who said it. Who was it? I can't remember who said it, but anyway, the centre-back partnership, which is something we've spoken about quite a lot. They played quite well yesterday. I think I gave them 2 7s, which is better than an average 6. But I think it was Roy Keane, actually. He opened it up to the whole back four, but he did talk about the defence, and he said that defence is going to cause you more problems than good, regardless of whether they played well today. I don't really have a question. I'll start with you, Beth. So it's a bit of a difficult one. But with regards to that centre-back partnership, that's probably been the one area of the pitch that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is super consistent with. He never changes it. How important do you think it is that he changes it? Do you think he is going to change it? And do you think he will do anything in January?
I think he's not changing it because he's only going to change it when he gets the other centre-half in that he wants. And I think he wants Upamecano, from what I've been seeing floating around. And just from what I've seen, I don't think he will change that partnership until he gets the centre-half in that he wants. Clearly doesn't fancy Tuanzebe, doesn't fancy Ian Wright, so he gets injured. Like, he'll get injured after 3 games only. So I think he'll only change it when another centre-half comes in. And up till then, he's just protecting it with McFred, and then also we're making stupid defensive mistakes, and we try to cover for them as much as possible. Fullbacks tucking in, but if you really want to challenge for a title and get anywhere, we need a centre half to complement either Lindelof or Maguire. And I think Maguire probably just edges it, 1 because of his price tag, and 2 because he's captain and probably has a bit more aerial presence. So. Yeah, I don't think he'll change it until we get another centre half, and I think that's a desperate desperate thing that we need. I wish we would have got one in the summer, but when we get one in, if we get one in January, then it'll really help us go forward in the league and help us it'll help us excel going forward as well, because we'll stop covering for them in that sense. So I think it'll improve our team massively. I think it's the stem of a lot of our problems. And other thing I just wanted to add in was, I think Ollie's going to continue to play Pogba until he gets sold. And when he does play him, I feel like the best way to play him would be in a diamond. That's how he can fit everything that he needs to fit, and we control the midfield. And then if we were top of the league, like near top of the league, keeping the same position we are in January, do you think Pogba would still want to leave and like risk possibly not being in the title charge? That's just one thing I wanted to add in.
Title charge, Pogba wants to maybe. What's your thoughts on the centre-back pairing, Ricky? I mean, they did all right yesterday. Is it an area, I know you like organisation. Is that an area that's bothered you? Do you think it does need improvement?
It bothers me a little bit, but it doesn't bother me as much as the whole team shape when it comes to defending, which he managed to get right yesterday. He's not got it right often enough. So if you take your sort of view off the two centre backs and look at how we did, we needed a point off PSG, we needed a point off Leipzig. If we'd have got a point in any of those two games, we'd now be in the Champions League still. I believe he should have approached those two games with the team or with the format that he approached yesterday's game. Certainly in Leipzig, we only had two midfield players. It's an absolute disgrace. He should have approached it like he approached yesterday's game, even if he'd have picked the exact same team, if they were all available and eligible, which I can't remember. But if he'd have picked the exact same team in the exact same format in those two games, I'm almost certain we'd have got a point out of one of those two games. And that is by playing with a defensive, solid outfit, a complete unit, and the two centre-backs don't have as much work to do then.
Kev, I'm going to give you the best question of the night. It's I don't want to depress you because it's Monday tomorrow and a lot of people don't like Monday mornings anyway. But just to make your Monday morning even better, the Europa League draw is at midday tomorrow. None of us wanted to be in that. Look, we're playing 3 games a week. We're playing 3 games a week all the way through till February, and that's when the Europa League is going to kick off. We will then be playing Thursday, Sunday. There's no manoeuvrability with that. Champions League, you could play Tuesday, Sunday. You could play Wednesday, Saturday, but Thursday, Sunday. We're going to be very tired in February. Do we have to prioritise one of these things? And do you think Solskjaer will do that, or do you think he's just going to burn us out in both?
He did it last season, didn't he? As it come towards the end of last season, we went for it. When Mourinho was in charge of Man United, he threw all the eggs in the Europa League basket and it worked for him. It's so risky to do. I mean, I'd much prefer to go out of that and just finish in the top 4 and, qualify for the Champions League that way. Last season, it really burnt us out. That still, we've started so slowly this season. I know it's been the same for a lot of teams, but that run, it's just madness, the amount of games that you play in that Europa League, the places you've got to travel to, these teams you've got to play. But, we've made our own bed, so we're going to have to lie in it, aren't we? Like Ricky said, if we'd have defended in either of them games, PSG or Leipzig, like we did yesterday, we're still in the Champions League, if we'd have set up like that. And that's the tough thing to take at the minute, really.
Just a little bit of a note, Arsenal are going to lose to Burnley, but more interesting, that's a relegation zone. We're not down there. Leicester are beating Brighton 3-0. So Leicester will go up to 24 points, which is 4 clear of us. And they'll be in 3rd place. Tottenham and Liverpool on 25 points. We play Leicester on Boxing Day. I mean, we think that we're over the hill in relation to difficult fixtures, but that Leicester game on Boxing Day could be quite an interesting one. Interesting games to come. Anyway, we've overrun a little bit, so that means it's been a good show. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. Please smash a like on the video. Make sure you get involved. But big thanks to everyone for coming on. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks for coming on, Beth.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I just hope that we keep up the league form.
Good. And thanks for coming on, Ricky.
Enjoyed it, mate. Thank you.
And Kev.
Thanks very much for having me. Cheers.
Good show. And thanks everyone for watching. Europa League draw tomorrow. It's not that exciting, is it? But but at least we're not Arsenal, and we'll see.
We could get Mulder.
Yeah.
We could get Mulder.
If we get Mulder and then he gets knocked out, they won't want him back. But anyway, I've said too much. We'll speak to you on the next one.
Thanks a lot, mate. Good night.